So you're probably wondering where I've been and where I am, because this isn't the room that you've seen all my other videos in. Let me explain. So since we last spoke, I built the meadery, I've decorated it, I've populated it, and I'm pretty much getting ready to begin commercial operation. And that's part of the reason why I haven't been making many videos. I've been really preoccupied with a number of other things, including my TikTok. I've also got another business now as well called Meadery, which I'll tell you about a little bit later. But essentially, I've been really preoccupied, and I'm sorry I haven't been making content. I know some people have been asking, and yeah, that's kind of really why. But I want to start making content again, and that starts with this video right here. I'm going to be running you guys for a tour of my meadery in just a second, but before we get there, I want to tell you guys about some other plans I have for this channel. I'm going to be launching a new series called Mead Busters, where we talk through the various mead myths that are around, and I'm going to debunk them through a scientific style experiments. I really hope that you can join me on those, because that's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm sure you'll learn something as well. I also do want to get back to recipe videos soon, making some recipes, showing you guys how you can make some recipes at home. However, at the moment, where I'm self-employed, I don't have any income and I don't have the money to spend on a bunch of recipes and stuff like that. So I've got to keep things really small scale. Now, I'm always open to ideas, so if you guys have any type of content or any video topics you want me to cover, please do comment them down below, and I'll be sure to have a read of them, and I might make a few videos depending on what you guys ask. But anyway, let's have a look around the meadery, shall we? Let's start with the exciting stuff. These are my fermenting vessels. Now, I haven't used them yet because I'm still waiting on my licenses. However, I'm really excited to get these started. And we have 3 vessels here. 2 of them are 200 litres, and this big boy here is 400 litres. So we're talking around just under a barrel for these 2, and around a barrel and a half to a barrel and 3/4 for this one. Now, you'll notice that these aren't conical, and part of the reason for that is it's very expensive, but also I feel like it's not really necessary in the setup that I've got here. I've installed a tri-clamp system, which is very standard among commercial brewers. It's the most sanitary type of connection from what I can see, and it's going to allow me to have a clean in place system, or CIP. An interesting thing to note about these fermenters is that they aren't airtight. They actually use oil to help create an airtight seal. The way it works is that during fermentation, you don't need an airtight seal. However, once we get to the aging stage, we have these lids here that slide inside the fermenter that will allow me then to pour oil on top, which will create an oxygen seal. I think that's really cool. And the other benefit of that is that I can fill the fermenter to not necessarily full, and it will always have that same amount of air seal, as the lid will rest on whatever the fluid level is. That's the fermenters. Let's take a look over at the shelf of mead. Now, I've got a few different types of vessel here. I've got the standard demijohn up the back, but I've also got these smaller test jars, and these have been great for running small scale tests. I totally recommend picking some up if you're into experimenting, doing blind taste tests, that sort of thing. To give you an idea on some of the things that I'm currently working on, these are umeshu, which is a Japanese plum liqueur. So I just fermented a standard traditional mead, and it's currently aging on some ume plums. That's going to be left for between 6 months to a year, and I'm going to be taste testing that regularly. We have a Turkish Delight mead. This is a lemon one. The other 2 I've already bottled up, so I did a trio of lemon, pistachio, and rose. I think they turned out pretty well. Definitely some improvements for the next iteration of the recipe, though. This is a Carolina Reaper mead, which I made using something called the Mead of Madness. The Mead of Madness is a document that I've made in the style of Dungeons and Dragons, which you can find a link to down below, and that will allow you to roll up very random meads, which can have multiple styles. It sets the ABV, the type of yeast to use, the honey variety, and even goes into really specific things like what ingredients you're going to use for, let's say, a metheglin, what spices and herbs. This was actually my first attempt at making a capsicum ale, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Next up, we have our trio of heather meads. Now, this is hopefully going to be one of my commercial recipes, which I've blended heather with different types of honey. I'm trying to identify which one complements the heather flavor profile best. And it's currently aging on staves as well, so it's going to have that lovely oaked flavor too. Lastly, we have Trick or Treat, which is a sizer that I made for around Halloween time. I really enjoyed it. It's a really fun recipe, using a tree blossom honey from a good friend of mine called Sasha, who has her own bees. And that, incredible. It's got lots of appley flavors, lots of honey character as well. So yeah, really a fan of that one. I won't talk you through all of the demijohns at the back, as some of them are quite old. However, that's kind of the spread that we've got here at the moment. And hopefully I'm going to be making some more meads with you guys very soon. So here I've got my fermenting fridges. I'm going to show you guys how I set these up. So you're going to need an ink bird, a fridge, and a greenhouse heating tube. So what I've done is I've taken the ink bird and screwed it to the front of the fridge. On the side, you've got the connectors here, which have two plugs, one for the heating element and one for the cooling element. The fridge is plugged into the cooling element and the greenhouse tube is plugged into the heating element. And then inside here, you can see I've got the greenhouse tube along the bottom and the temperature probe for the Inkbird hanging down from the top, which will allow temperature control. So the way the Inkbird controls the temperature is you just set the temperature here. So I've got it set to 5 degrees. It then has the current temperature from the probe, which is 8.5 degrees. And then either it will have the cooling LED on or the heating LED on, which will tell you whether it's trying to cool down or heat up. Very simple. I found that using these, getting temperature control is so easy, and it allows you to really get those certain flavors that you're after, as some yeasts produce different esters at certain temperatures. Really cool. And that, my friends, is a really brief tour of my meadery. I'm still kind of getting everything set up at the minute, so things are still a bit of a mess. Hopefully in the future I might do another one once we've made some improvements, and I can show you some of the other gadgets as well, like the filtration pumps, the bottling system that I'm using, the vacuum sealer, and those sorts of things. So that's the update video done. I really hope that you guys have enjoyed this, and it's been really great to chat to you again. I will be uploading my first video of the Mead Buster series in the next few weeks. I'm just going to start filming of that in a second, and I really hope that you guys will enjoy. But thank you so much again, and you guys should go check out my TikTok and Instagram because I post a lot more there, and I will see you in the next one.